You ever followed your GPS and it just leads you straight into a dead end? Super frustrating, right? Well, what if that wasn't just some rare glitch, but pretty much a daily battle? In this explainer, we're going to dive into a really fascinating modern conflict, how a multi-billion-dollar satellite navigation system can get completely, utterly lost in the ancient and constantly changing streets of Cairo. So check this out. This is basically our Exhibit A single, kind of desperate message from a driver that just opens up this whole much bigger story. An extra 70 kilometers? I mean, think about that. That's not just a little mistake, that is a complete navigational meltdown. And yeah, this is the kind of thing that made us start digging for answers. And this leads us to the central mystery we're looking at today, the Cairo conundrum. Seriously, how does one of the most sophisticated, data-driven mapping systems on the entire planet just seem to fall apart in one of the world's greatest, most historic megacities? It really is a paradox when you think about it. On one side, you've got Google Maps. I mean, we're talking decades of satellite images, nonstop data collection, crazy powerful algorithms, all of it promising this perfect, predictable trip from point A to point B. And then, on the other side, you've got the reality of driving in Cairo, which, let's just say, is anything but predictable. To really get what's going on here, we can't just look down from the satellites. No, we need intel from the ground. So, we started combing through the field reports from the people who live this nightmare every single day, the drivers themselves. And this quote, this perfectly captures the feeling, doesn't it? The app gives you a command, but what you see with your own eyes just doesn't match up. It tells you to turn right, but there's no road there. It's just a construction site or a wall. It's not just unhelpful, it's absolutely maddening. And here's a huge theme that kept popping up over and over again. Bridges. Cairo is a city of flyovers, overpasses, and these really complex elevated road networks. And according to the drivers, this is where the system truly, as this user puts it, loses its shit. The GPS gets confused, the directions get all murky, and you're just left guessing which exit to take. So when you put all the evidence together, a really clear pattern starts to emerge. This isn't about one or two little glitches. No, we're seeing consistent reports of phantom roads, these sudden reroutes that make absolutely no sense, and a system that just cannot keep up with how fast the city is growing. The bottom line is, the map on your screen often has very little to do with the city you're actually driving through. So this brings us from the what to the why. Okay, if the tech is failing so spectacularly, what's causing it to fail? Well, the prime suspect, as it turns out, isn't the software. It's the city of Cairo itself. And right here, this is the heart of the problem. From a satellite's point of view, way up in space, Cairo might look like a solvable puzzle, a neat, orderly digital grid. But for a driver on the ground, it's a dynamic, ever-changing maze. A battlefield, really. New construction pops up overnight. Roads and bridges appear where there was nothing a week before, making the map's data obsolete almost instantly. So here it is, the core conflict, the insane pace of urban development. Cairo is a city in constant flux. Its infrastructure is literally evolving faster than even the most advanced mapping technology can keep up with. And that creates this permanent gap between the digital map and the physical city. And hey, as if that wasn't bad enough, it's not just the visual map that's struggling. The voice navigation, the thing that's supposed to help you keep your eyes on the road, can add a whole new layer of chaos. Get this. People report that a road labeled MR559 gets pronounced as Mr. 559. It sounds like a small, funny detail, but when you're trying to navigate a crazy intersection, that kind of nonsense can be seriously confusing. So if you can't totally rely on the technology, what are you supposed to do? Well, the drivers in Cairo, they've basically developed their own counteroffensive. It's a set of survival tactics for navigating this incredibly challenging territory. And their strategy really boils down to two key things. First, you've got to make sure your own gear is as finely tuned as it can possibly be. And second, you have to master the on-the-ground human intelligence that no app can ever give you. First up, for all you Android users out there, calibrate your digital compass. Seriously, this one simple step can help the app get a much more accurate lock on where you are, and that makes a huge difference in these super dense urban areas. And for the iPhone crew, the process is just as easy. You just have to dive into your settings, find your location services, and make sure that compass calibration is switched on. It's a tiny tweak that can give you a much-needed edge out there. But look, Technical fixes will only get you so far. The real wisdom, the real survival skills, come from the Cairo drivers themselves, who follow a set of unofficial rules. And the most important one? The physical road sign always, and I mean always, beats the digital map. If there's a conflict, trust the sign. These drivers also become part of the solution, reporting hazards and helping everyone else navigate the chaos. All right, so after looking at all the evidence, from the satellites in orbit to the drivers on the streets, what's the final verdict here? What if we really learned from this clash between digital order and physical chaotic reality? And this brings us to one last big question. We started this whole thing by asking why Google Maps was failing. But maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. Maybe the real story here is that Cairo, a city that's been defined by thousands of years of change and adaptation, simply refuses to be pinned down, measured, and perfectly captured by some digital model. And that leaves us with this really powerful idea. There's an old saying in philosophy: the map is not the territory. It just means that a representation of something isn't the thing itself. Well, in Cairo, that's not just some philosophical concept. It's a daily driving instruction. The digital map can try its best to keep up, but it will probably always be one step behind, a territory that is alive and literally rewriting itself every single day.